I'm Fabian Grabbz. I'm in esports for I think 10 years now, actually. Head coaching for 8 years. And yeah, happy to be here.
What attracted you to join Fnatic this year?
Well, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's one of the two biggest orgs in Europe. Also a bit different of color change for me. Gonna be a bit weird the first 2 weeks, I would say, from coming from G2. But of course, it's a really big name, a lot of fans, especially that want to go back to the winning ways. And I think with my expertise and also just experience, I can help the team a lot. Because I think the way they approached last year's, the team especially played a bit naively. And I think I want to make it more stable, let's say.
What were your kind of thoughts watching the FNC from not being involved in it? How did it feel when you kind of got the job at Fnatic?
The last 2-3 years, it has been seen that certain concepts or basics that in other leagues are being done are being less and less effective in Europe. And I think, or at least I hope that I can bring this a bit back also in Fnatic and make sure, again, the stability is really important, right? I think it's no secret that the players themselves have the talent to beat any team. It's just they have to bring this consistency into the daily games or weekly games, let's say. And of course, it was really exciting to have the call with Fnatic, as I said before, right? One of the biggest organizations. Again, lots of fans. I want to also be to help to channel this fandom, this energy in positive ways, which I think didn't really happen the last years. I think there's a big difference between how the team is working and the fans perceive it in a way. And I want to also bridge that gap to make sure that fans can be proud, again to follow Fnatic.
So what were your thoughts on watching Fnatic this past year or in previous years? What were your, I mean, obviously you were on G2 and BDS for some years and played against us, but what are your general thoughts about Fnatic as a team and an organization?
I think the last year's Fnatic was just a team that could beat any team at any given day, but also lose against any team at any given day. So we've seen lots of high highs, low lows, even lows during the highs. I think back of the finals in summer against G2, where every game should have been won. Like, I could be playing these games and they should be won normally, but they found a way to lose them. And again, I think it comes back to this consistency, right? To make the game a bit simpler, because I'm not here to teach players like Razok how to play the game. I think that's very self-evident that they have the mechanical talent. I just want to make sure that they have a baseline they can go on to not have that many questions in the game they have to answer, right? They can just focus on playing the game, and the structure is given then by me and my coaching staff.
You've already mentioned it, but can you go a little bit deeper into that coaching style and that coaching philosophy that you have in giving the players a bit more consistency and structure that they can lean on so that they're more open to play the game?
Yeah. I think structure itself is always a buzzword as well, right? What does structure mean? Every team has a structure. Like, I can't sit here and say LEC had no structure the last 2 years. It's just very easy to have this feeling from the outside. It's just more important to have very clear patterns of when you want to allow players to be more free-flowing and be creative and find their place, and when they have to take a step back and just build up again. I think in every sport, if you think like football, for example, there's a build-up phase. There's a time and place for creativity, and there's a time and place for playing normal, or the standard way people always say it. And I just want to make it a bit clearer for players, again, to then be able to focus on these important moments, and then they can shine through their talents.
What do you think about the roster that we've kind of built for you to work with this year or next year?
I think it's really interesting as a coach, because I'm not going to sit there and say everything is perfect, right? I think there are clear weaknesses players have and clear strengths. Of course, as a coach, you want to magnify the strengths and then lessen the weaknesses, right? I think we have especially two players with big X factors, which is Razok and Miky. They can win you every game, but they tend also to maybe lose you a game if they go off the rails. And I think we have a very solid foundation on Upset, for example, right? You know what to expect of him. He will, if he gives given the chance, he will carry your game. And it's going to be interesting as a coach to find the balance, because again, I'm not here to take away this explosiveness that people like Razok have, for example, right? You want to enhance it, but you want to make sure that the structure around it makes sense. And that's going to be the big challenge for me and Grabbz in the beginning.
You've worked with Miky before.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be working with someone like Miky again?
I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, Miky and me are friends, which is awkward, because usually I don't try to be friends with players. It just happens naturally afterwards. And now we find ourselves back on the same front, maybe both with a bit of a grudge against G2. We're going to use as well as motivation. No, not a grudge. It's just like, it's fun, right, to play against the X team. And I know what to expect of him. He knows what to expect of me. It's just important to make sure that we don't allow ourselves to fall into the old habits, basically, right? We are new teammates that happen, like, we are 3 years apart now. So I change as a coach, he changed as a player. So it's going to be interesting to reinvent us basically in Fnatic as a pairing.
Yeah, you said you changed as a coach. I was going to ask you this. In what ways do you think that you've kind of learned and developed over the years with so much experience already? What are you looking to bring into Fnatic that's new and fresh?
I could talk a lot about this. I mean, I've been in the scene for a long time, and I think that's just basically what I want to bring in, the age. Like I've experienced a lot. I experienced lots of winning, lots of hardship. Also had time the last 2 years to reflect a lot on what I've done in G2 and BDS, even before in Rocket. And of course, you always find yourself and asking, would I have done something different? And in some aspects, I can say, yes, I would have, and some no. But I think I can bring this objectivity to the team, right? There's a lot of emotion in the team. Nobody wants to be wrong at any given time. Whereas I think, again, I've been wrong many times in my life. I've been right many times in my life. I don't really mind. And I think I can be a good mirror to players to bring that sentiment in, that we're going to make mistakes, but the important part is what we take out of them, right? Again, I'm not very emotional as a person, as you can tell probably from the interview as well. I think I can ground them in a way to make sure that we don't lose the really important big picture, and to make sure that we don't waste time with like smaller quarrels or issues we have in the team.
I mean, you've had a break now. What have you been doing? Have you been watching a lot of League of Legends? Have you been playing a lot of League of Legends? Have you been watching all the regions? What's been your kind of like timeline in the last couple of years?
I mean, the last year I've been more living. After 8 years of esports, I didn't really have time for family and friends. I went on vacations, built my relationships with friends and family more, which was really important to me, and also let me regain my mental health at some point, right? Work-life balance is a thing that's very fickle in esports. Last year, I spent more watching the game again. I've been co-streaming SEK APL, the Prime League in German, because I tried to help the German scene a bit as a person who was not affiliated with any team. So I've been following the games for sure. Watch LEC a lot, watch Worlds, of course. So, and of course, talk to the people I know in the scene as well, right? So I never really lost touch with the game. Funny enough, like in the first year, I should have done more content apparently, what I'm doing right now. Because that was an issue for some teams apparently, that I'm not active on Twitter. I guess I have to go back. Or Blue Sky now, hopefully, but.
Yeah, I've been missing your bangers on Twitter.
Yeah, I think I'm too old for that now. I think. I mean, it's just something that fans always noted, right? I was very like vocal. I'm going to be 30 next year, like in January. And I think I'm past that stage of my life where I'm going to make bangers on Twitter. I think I'm ttoo old for that.
Too old for shit posting? Nah.
Shit posting actually is fun, you're right. I think to a degree I will keep doing that, but just how they interact with enemy teams, for example, right, opposition. I don't have to bring out the 24-year-old Grabbz again that I was in G2, for example.
Yeah, fair enough. You said that you need to kind of like meet the players. I know you said you need to like watch the play and see how they come together. But personally, what are your general goals for 2025 with this team?
My biggest goal ultimately is that the way we win games makes sense. I think this is a really important part, that you understand the thought process behind plays. This is something that, again, from the outside is really easy, right? Where I watch SEK, LPL, and I can really easily reverse engineer the thought process. Whereas if you watch LEC, that's way harder. You don't get to the same conclusions as players do. And I just want to have the feeling that we could be put in the same situation 20 times and we play them out 20 times correctly. And I think the end goal then, this is the end goal and this will lead to better results. Of course, winning is the most important part, but I've always been the kind of person, I'd rather lose in a correct way than win in a random way. But hopefully we can like narrow it a bit down to a clearer path. I'm fully aware that I'm being the old man in the clouds, right? And being like, I'm back in my day, this was better. Like, I'm fully aware of that. And I'm also, of course, painting a picture right now, it's not that bad. But the tendencies, of course, are clear to see in the Asian regions, like how they play the game. Even with lower end-tier teams, they make more often decisions that I can understand. And again, we talk about consistency, right? More often. Like, how often do you make these decisions? No one's going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but hopefully less than in the past.
Do you think personally that the gap between LCK LPL teams is much bigger than EU NA teams?
I would say yes. We had the FlyQuest Genji series where FlyQuest was close, but I think it was also Genji playing way worse than usual, which is of course always a bad thing to say, right? FlyQuest played amazingly. I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think it's very visible that we lose touch with the Asian teams. I think the gap was never close. We just had Fnatic back in the day and then G2 as outliers who could reach the teams. I don't think it was a a regional thing. I think the regions were always far apart because of many different reasons, right? Which I could go in depth here, but then it will be a 3-hour video, which you don't want to do. And again, I hope to like bridge the gap, but for Fnatic, I don't really care what the LEC does. I'm here for Fnatic, and I want to bring the fans as many trophies as possible. What the rest of the league does doesn't concern me really.
Awesome. Any kind of hopes for international tournaments next year?
It goes back to what I said earlier, right? I don't concern myself about what actual games we win, but not I want to reach a state of where I know my team can play out the game states that we get into, and that would mean naturally also being more competitive in the international stage. So I don't put myself in a goal as I want to win a title, nor I want to get us to a way of playing that we can win a title, basically. And then whatever happens, happens.
What team are you most excited to go up against in Winter Split?
I mean, it has to be G2, right? Not only because of my past with them, but also you always want to play against the best team possible. So if in winter, let's say, SK wins, then in spring I want to beat SK. But you want to be the best team. For that, you have to beat the best team. Then, of course, my personal feelings also come in. It's a fun competition against them, and I would really enjoy to beat them, for sure.
How do you think you're going to feel when you're up on that stage and you look over and it's the G2 logo up there and the Fnatic logo behind you?
I think now doing the interview, it still feels a bit alien, but I think by that time I would have worked a month with the players already. I wouldn't care anymore. Like at that point, I already like zoned in black and orange, and that's what I'm going to be for hopefully many years. Hey, friends of Fnatic. I know this is as awkward for you as it is for me. We had many years on opposing ends of the aisle. All I can say is I'm aware that I'm not necessarily the most popular figure for Fnatic fans. All I hope is that you can not give me the trust, but give the team the trust that we're going to work hard. And again, if you don't want to be, don't be a fan of mine, but at least support the players as much as you can.